Super 7 Super Kaiju Wave 3 is now available at Target. This is potentially the most interesting wave in the line so far, so I had to pick up the wave to take a look at them with you guys right here, right now, so let's get into it. We're going to start with the Godzilla 89 comic book color version. This is a downscaled version of the Dark Horse comic Godzilla Ultimates figure that Super 7 put out, I think, last year. Here is a quick look at the box. Some very nice box art on the back and sides. And let's go ahead and get this unboxed and take a quick closer look at it. All right, so here is the comic version of Godzilla 89. This is a repaint, so if you're already familiar with the figure that came out before, this is basically the same as what you're getting. And out of the box, this guy looks very nice. You have a really nice blood paint going on the front of the mouth. Some very nice bright yellow eyes. Look at that eye paint. That's really good. As you can see, the entire figure is going to be in a dark green with brighter green highlights, yellow claws, yellow toes. You could almost think of these as premium reaction figures, just a little more articulation. Speaking of which, so what you're going to get, at least on these Godzillas, is the head can rotate all the way around. As you saw earlier, the jaw is on a hinge. That is very nice to see, as that is not yet implemented on the Ultimates figures. The shoulders are on hinges, and they can swivel all the way around. That's about the most range you're going to get from that. The elbows are on hinges. They can hinge right there, and then they can swivel just below the elbow, Wrists have no cuts in them. Nothing on the waist. The thighs are on ball joints. They can splay out about that far, and they can kick up about that far, kick back about that far. Knees are on hinges with a swivel below the knee, and the ankles are on hinges. They can't kick back that far, but they can kick forward a decent amount, and they're on a swivel. As with the tail, you got, I believe that's a ball joint at the base, but it's very stiff. But then the tails are all bendable. And this does feel more like what NECA did rather than what Hiya does, but that is A-okay. You're not going to get a ton of range out of these tails, but this is a nice thick rubber, but I would be concerned about that wire potentially snapping some point down the line. Again, these are more meant to be played with or have on your desk. They are very small, but they are very nice looking. And as for accessories, this figure comes with half of a purple building. They are hollow. You only get one half. It's very unfortunate. That said, we haven't seen any other purple buildings yet, so I suspect we will be getting another comic repaint of some figure down the line, but that has not been announced quite yet. Moving on now to Godzilla 2002. This is actually one of the figures that I was looking forward to the most. Not only is it a brand new Godzilla mold, but they also finally did away with the half buildings and gave us a Maser tank. That is a very cool looking accessory. Let's get this guy out of the box now and take a closer look at him. So here is Godzilla and the little Maser tank. Let's move that tank aside and take a look at Godzilla first. Yeah, this is a pretty cool looking Godzilla 2002. There is no Kiryu to go alongside this, although we might very well be seeing that in the next wave. In terms of body sculpt, this looks to be sculpted top to bottom brand new. In terms of articulation, it's going to be about the same. Head's going to rotate. Mouth is on a hinge. Look at that, though. Look how wide you can get that mouth. Very nice. Shoulders are on hinges. Does not look like you can get them up as far, but that's A-okay. And they can hinge around. Elbows are on hinges. This time they swivel above the elbow. Still no wrists. Legs can splay out only about that far, but they are, oh, wow, look at that. They can only kick up about that far, kick back about that far. So you get a little less range, but that's probably due to the sculpt. Knees are still on hinges, and they can swivel below the knee. And the feet are on hinges as well, and they can rock side to side. And the tail, of course, is still a ball joint with a wire. Now this tail is a bit thinner, so you can actually push it a little further, but I would still be cautious about that wire. This tail is not as thick, and I worry about that wire snapping down the line. But overall, yeah, this is a pretty neat, small-scale little Godzilla 2002. It's very stylized. It's not going to be accurate. I mean, he looks a little large in the gut and thin in the legs. These spikes aren't as large and pronounced as perhaps you would like them to be. But in terms of just a fun little desk toy, yeah, this thing's pretty cool looking. 2002 has a pretty derpy head, so your mileage may vary there. But for what it is, I'm not upset by this. The paint on the teeth could have been a little better, but again, it is what it is. This definitely looks like Godzilla 2002, even if it's not completely accurate. Now let's talk about this Maser tank. This is arguably the star of the show here. I have been begging for high-end Tamashii to start doing iconic Godzilla vehicles. So it's really cool that Super7 is able to include this with a small-scale figure, because I think if you get this for the right price, you could army build for these tanks, and these would be a pretty cool-looking accessory. This is the only range of motion you're getting. It's unpainted, but hey, customize this. This thing would be damn cool on a shelf. So here we have Destoroyah. Yes. We are still quoting the angry video game nerd here in 2025. Let's go ahead and get this bad boy out of the box and take a look at it, because this is by far the one that was most intriguing to me overall. So interesting thing to note is that while technically Destoroyah only comes with the top of a building, you do get a little extra as the tail you need to assemble yourself. Not technically an accessory, but that does present well, I should say. Now, getting this guy out of the box is another story. All right, let's go ahead and get Destoroyah assembled. So here you can see this is what the tail joint is. Not quite a ball joint, at least not on this one. This one's going to be just a large peg. Damn, bro. Ugh. Come on now. Oh my God. Well, I'm very confident in saying that tail's not coming off, so that is very good to see. So here we have Destoroyah all set up. Again, comes at the top half of a building, and just to get this out of the way, this is actually a uniquely sculpted building. So here's the bottom half that came with the poster Godzilla. These two do not line up, as this is, again, a uniquely sculpted building. This is really unfortunate. You kind of can key them together, but again, different building. That's a different rant for another time. I want to focus on the good, which is this Destoroyah. Damn, this is a cool-ass small-scale Destoroyah. I mean, look at all that detailing. Nice paint on the front, nice paint on the head. All the teeth and claws are painted. The eyes a nice vibrant yellow. Horns a nice faded. The shoulder pads have a nice faded shade of lighter red. It's not really any weathering or anything like that going on, but this is a nice solid base paint. All the details are painted how you would want. Look at these beautiful wings. Oh, yeah. The paint on this. This is what I would pay full price for. And again, we'll talk about price at the end of the video, but I just want to get quick first impressions out of the way here. Now, can articulation hold up? So the head, just like on the Godzillas, is on a swivel. Does not seem like you can get it all the way around. Maybe you could force it. I don't really want to risk that. The mouth is on a hinge. Look at all that detailing on the inside of the mouth. Teeth are nicely painted too, all those teeth. I know the Ultimate's Destoroyah kind of has some wonky paint on the teeth. Here on this scale, they actually look very nice. Look at that. Oh, that is amazing. The shoulders appear to be hinges. Yeah, I believe they're hinges. So you can get the shoulders up about that far and then down, and then you can rotate them. But just like the Ultimates figure, the wings are connected to the shoulders. So your range is going to be a little, it's going to be determined on how you have those wings positioned. Speaking of the wings, yeah, the large wings are attached to the back of the shoulder. They can hinge up. A little small, but hey, it still looks very striking, and it makes sense with this scale. The small wings can swivel around just on one axis. Elbows, just like the Godzillas, are on hinges. They can hinge out like so, and they can rotate around above the elbow. Thighs are on ball joints. You can kick them up about that far, kick them back about that far, split them out, bring them in, and yeah, very nice. Knees are on hinges, although the range is going to be a little limited. You can only bend them about that far, but they also can swivel below the knee. And the feet are also on hinges, just like the Godzillas. And also, just like the Godzillas, this tail is a bendy wire. It's very similar to Godzilla 2002's, where it's smaller and thinner, so you can get a little more range out of it. But once again, I would be very cautious about these tails. All right, let's talk about scale now, because again, this is not quite reaction. This is definitely not Ultimates, but this is somewhere in between. So all these figures are going to stand at roughly 5.5 inches tall. And if you wanted to know how wide Destoroyah's wings are, you got something like a 6.5-inch wingspan. So that's actually pretty nice. So here is a Super 7 reaction figure. So yeah, these figures do tower over the reaction figures. And here is how the line scales with the Bandai action figure series. Now, honestly, these aren't that far off from the Bandai action figures. This is more in line with the price point I would have expected from this Super 7 line. I would be very interested to see how this Destoroyah compares to the Bandai action figure series Destoroyah, as it's my understanding they're actually pretty comparable in size. Here is how these figures would scale next to a Monster Arts. I meant to grab a different Monster Arts off the shelf because I always pull this one out for the Hiya Monsterverse figures, but I forgot, so you're getting this guy again. And here's how they look with the Hiya figures, and here's how these things compare to a Super 7 Ultimates figure. I mean, again, I'll bring back the Reactions figure. They're somewhere in between, closer to a Reactions figure, but with more detail, more paint, more everything than a Reactions figure. Kind of like an Ultimates. But there you go. If there was any doubt, here's how they compare to a Super 7 Ultimates Godzilla figure. So there you have it, guys. Here is the Super 7 Super Kaiju Wave 3. This is a very quick and dirty first impressions look at these three figures. Very excited to see where Super 7 goes with this line. Again, Destoroyah is the standout figure. I would pick that up at full price. Godzilla 2002 with the Maser tank is also a very fun and exciting release. And I really hope that Super 7 takes a look at that and uses that as the inspiration for future figures down the line. Because I think if they're only going to give us half buildings, a full tank or plane or train, anything else that makes the set complete is going to be more worthwhile than half of a building. These figures do retail for $35 USD at Target. Personally speaking, that's pretty steep for what you're getting. Destoroyah is the only one of these three that I feel is worth that price. It's also worth noting that because these are Target exclusives, and due to how much overstock Target may have, you can probably find these very, very cheap if you wait long enough and know where to look. I do have my eye on that original Godzilla 89 and original Mechagodzilla. So I would say if you like what you're seeing here but you don't like the price, just wait a little bit and go check out Facebook Marketplace, Mercari, eBay. If someone has overstock of these figures and they didn't move at retail, they're probably not going to move at retail prices in the secondhand market. Also, keep an eye out for Target's own deals. I picked up this whole wave at a discounted rate of like $28 a figure. Unfortunately, that deal is expired now, but I am sure they will have Black Friday and holiday sales coming up very soon. Anyway, that's my whole spiel on price. As a wave, yeah, these three figures are really cool, very fun to have. I'm very happy to have them. And who knows, maybe I'll go track down the other three that I'm missing. That Burning Godzilla did look very neat. and probably would be a very cool companion piece with Destoroyah. And those first two Godzilla figures, the Mega Godzilla and the Godzilla 89, still don't look fantastic, but if I can find them at a cheaper price, I'd say this is a very neat line to collect. This is a very collectible line. I'm very excited to see what Super 7 does with this line next. If they continue on with this value, then we're in for something really special in the next couple of years. All right, guys. Well, that was a quick look at these figures. I just had to get this video out because I just got these figures in and figured, yeah, why not? They're brand new. I will still have a normally scheduled Hiya video coming this weekend. So thank you for joining me. Let me know what you think of these figures down in the comments. And until next time, guys, see ya.